Okay. So Polymer is we've already done React, and I didn't get to see the Vue yet, but I think Vue is like Angular, and all this is like the same stuff, just a little bit different. It lets you do web components, so that you can take a lot of code that's complex and shrink it down to something like this, so it's reusable. It's encapsulated, so that you don't have classes interfering with each other. So you go in and change the way something looks, and then it messes up your login form somewhere else on the site. Everything's encapsulated to keep stuff from clashing. So I'm gonna just start out with like a bare bones element. So this is the page, and just to get started, you just bring this in on your page, web components, JS, and then you import whatever component you want to use, or components. So I'm just using this one, and I have this one, so this one and this one. But all you need to get started is just these two lines of code, and then your actual component. And again, all this is bare bones junk. You all have to do is have a script tag in here, import Polymer, and then name your component. And this is how you're going to use it based on the name. Your DOM module is going to have an ID, which has that same value. And then template, you put that inside it here, and whatever is inside there is going to be expanded into here. So that's how we get this. We can do data binding to make it more customizable. So we have properties. So I have the same basic thing, but I've got a name this time. So I've got simple greeting with a name property. I pass in a name. And that just, I have had this before, but now I've got a properties property with a name, type is string, and I give it a default value in case somebody doesn't pass in that property. All simple stuff. And then if you're used to Angular and React and all this stuff, you're going to be used to like computed properties. So if I pass in whatever number, it computes it. So there's a number property, and then the squared, nobody passes it in. It's computed using this function. It's an annotation, and you see num here correlates to this. You're not actually running code. It's an annotation that gets parsed, and it says what property is this. It finds this, and it passes it into the function it finds. So number times number squares it. So then we have two properties, and then again the template. This is the stuff that gets stuck out, and then we have these curly brace annotations that get resolved to those properties. And this num is that property here, and this input, when it fires the input event, or like key down, any kind of event, you say when that event fires, update this property. So that's how this works. Again, if you're used to Angular, it's all the same. This is, I don't know, I haven't seen this in other stuff. This might be in Angular, but this is insertion points that comes back to that template. So this is my this is the element, and we've got just different content inside of it. Instead of just listing the thing, we actually can put junk inside of it. And I have this element with a side class. So anything with a side class gets put inside this special content tag. Everything else gets put inside this generic one. So it's helpful if you have like a sidebar or different sections of your template. Just putting that class on there inserts it into that different point. Behaviors is just like inheritance. So I just created these boxes, and I wanted it so that when I click on it, it gives it an active class. See the class active? And then I've got styles that say when it's got the active class, give it a red background or red border. And the way that, and instead of like putting this, if you have multiple elements that you want to have the same behavior on, instead of putting it in each one, you just put it into a behavior, and then they can inherit it, which again makes this more awesome. So this is the behavior. It looks just like when you're defining an element. There's properties. All the stuff is stuff that you would put on an actual element. So this works that I've got an active property that gets toggled true or false. When they click, there's a listener for click. It runs this function that changes the value of active and then adds the class active. Unless they override the class name, they can give it like a selected class or something else. And then I've got this stubbed out so that if they want, they can implement one of these or both of these functions so that when it becomes active, it runs the code. Just making it more customizable for whatever element you're going to add it to. Styling, this is the kind of a neat, this is the same element as this here. I just changed it up a little bit. So it's the same component, but when we set the styles up, we use variables. We call this variable function, and we name the variable, and then we can set up a theme that sets these values. So this has a default value of black, but then this theme sets the text color so that you don't have to create your own components. You can have a component that has customized styles. Yeah. And then the last thing, this is just kind of the similar thing that Jason built out. List users or developers. And this kind of showcases some of the elements that Polymer has to offer. So I just created this list users element. And then what I have here is this Iron Ajax thing that Polymer offers. You just give it the URL, tell it's JSON coming back, and then I say when I get the response, stick in this URL, or I mean in this variable. Then down here, we loop over it in this DOM repeat element, and it creates these. But we're using this iron selector. So what this does is it looks at the children it has that have the class item, and for each of these, when it's clicked, when it's selected, it updates this variable I set up with the index 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And what I did down here is that these are the properties selected, which is that variable I set up, and then selected user is a computed property that says when this is updated, then compute it. So it's going to grab that response that was come back from the Ajax, get the user that's at the index, and set it to this. And then we pass that to this other element I set up, user card, which creates this. So you just pass in that data, and then there's nothing to this except just a template. We just stick the name, username, address, email, cell to make this. It was really quick, easy to set up. I wasn't expecting the Ajax to work that quickly. Really nice. There's a couple other ones I want to look at that I didn't implement, but that they offer. They got the Iron Ajax. They've got like collapse, which is like like the accordion that Bootstrap and all those kind of things have. They got icons, like Font Awesome. They have a local storage, media query. They've got like a Firebase element, Google Analytics, charts, feeds, all kinds of stuff that you can use to make your application building much quicker. And stuff they don't have, you can build yourself. And there's this community that has like their own collection of different elements. It's really, really awesome how quickly. Yeah. This was a really neat thing too. The neon animation that like listens to events, and it works with like routing kind of stuff, so that you can. Let's do like this one. When you click, like if this is like clicking on a link, going to a section, and it's like animating it as you go back and forth. There's a little bit of weird stuff with Polymer that takes a little bit of getting used to, but I found this polycasts, which is like Rails casts, like all those layer casts, by a Google employee, and these are really, really awesome, really easy, really well done. If you just go through and watch all these, there's probably like an hour and a half or an hour, whatever is here, and you'll know 80% of what you need to know to get started.